welcome to my YouTube channel.
Version, which includes a more modern syntax and just better overall structure. Now, I have a lot of JavaScript courses and tutorials used for that stuff. Okay, so it's the language of the front browser, but you can also run, if you want to do client-side programming, meaning code that runs on your client machine, you'll need to know JavaScript. So languages like Python, PHP, C#, Java, languages like Python, PHP, C#, Java. These are all great languages, but they're all server side. Okay, they run on the server. They don't run right in the browser like JavaScript does. They're very powerful, but they can't do things like slideshows and little widgets in the browser and stuff like that, unless they run some kind of library that actually generates JavaScript for the browser. Okay, you can also build very interactive interfaces with JavaScript frameworks such as React, Angular, Vue.js, and these frameworks are all highly in demand. And again, you can build server-side and full-stack applications using Node.js. You can even build mobile apps with technologies like React Native and NativeScript, and even desktop apps with a framework like Electron. So these are reasons why JavaScript is my favorite language, because it's absolutely everywhere. It's also very fast, powerful, and it's fairly easy to learn. So this is what we're going to go over in this crash course, and remember, it is a crash course, so it's not going to be too in-depth, it's not going to be too long. It's enough to get you started with all the fundamental syntax. So we'll cover things like data types, variables, arrays, objects, loops, conditionals, functions, some object-oriented programming, and even stuff like DOM selection and events. So I'll show you how we can do things like grab onto HTML elements like buttons and add click events, change things up in the DOM, which is the document object model, things like that. We'll even do some basic form validation. So as this is a crash course, you will need to do some further learning after this. I do have a 21-hour course on Udemy called Modern JavaScript from the Beginning. I'll put that promo link in the description. And then, of course, I have hundreds of free videos on YouTube. These are some of the ones that you might want to look at, and I'll put links to these in the description as well. So for instance, I have a 4-part course on the DOM using JavaScript with the document object model, object-oriented programming using classes, videos on the fetch API so you can make HTTP requests to back-end APIs, and then I have a whole vanilla JavaScript playlist full of small projects where we build just little applications in the browser. And then I also have a bunch of crash courses on frameworks like React and Angular and Vue. So definitely more stuff to check out after this video. Alright, so that's it for the slides. Let's go ahead and jump in and let's start to learn JavaScript. Alright guys, so we're going to get started, and I'm going to go a little faster than usual just because there's so much to cover in terms of just the fundamentals of JavaScript. So I have my text editor open. I'm using Visual Studio Code, which is what I would suggest. However, you can use whatever text editor you want. I'm also using an extension called Live Server that will allow the browser to refresh when I save the page. So for instance, if I just take this E off and I save, you'll see that it'll auto reload. I don't have to click the reload button. So that's helpful and will speed things up a little bit. So let's go ahead and add some JavaScript to this very basic HTML file. You can see I just have the head, and then in the body I have a header with an H1. So you want to put your JavaScript